G'day folks. Conor here from CDubs Media, back with another video. Today we're doing my full review of the OPPO Find X5. So without further ado, hit the like button and the subscribe button and let's get stuck into the video. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing OPPO wants you to know about this phone is that it has been co-developed with Hasselblad. And this is all about the camera and the lenses. And there's some good results here, but we'll get into that a little bit later. First, we're going to go through some specs and a couple of other parts of this device that I really like. Now, OPPO says that the OPPO Find X5 is a timeless device. I don't know if it's timeless, but it definitely is a nice build. It looks good and feels good. It feels a lot smaller than it actually is, and I'm pretty impressed with the way it feels. It's got a really nice weight to it. It doesn't feel light and cheap and plasticky. It feels like a solid device. But it is definitely slippery, and I think that's down to the matte glass feel on the back. It's almost a bit like sandstone-y type feeling. Definitely looks like it, a bit of the old OnePlus look, but it's slippery. I mean, I was just taking it out of its case to do this review and it nearly slipped straight out of my hand. So you do want to put the case on it, even though it looks amazing with no case. And thankfully, OPPO put a case in the box. Imagine that. Or you big time phone makers, how about you take a leaf out of OPPO's book and give the consumer something in return for their money. And a couple other things about this device. It is 6.55 inches, 402 ppi, and comes in 1000 nits max brightness at peak performance. That's bright. You ain't going to have any problems viewing this in sunlight. And for all you gamers, we've also got a refresh rate of 120 Hz. Smooth as butter. Now, moving on from the build to some of the hardware and the performance, we have a NPU processor, which is a neural processor, which is lingo for AI. I mean, it's just designed to really get the most out of your videography and photography in situations where you normally couldn't with other devices. Especially at night time, the OPPO Find X5 uses this NPU to draw in some information and replace the information that's already there with a better looking image. And I think that you'll see that they're definitely going over and above to try and nail some of this AI technology. So great stuff, OPPO, loving that. We are talking a 50 megapixel wide angle lens, a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, and a 13 megapixel telephoto lens that can do 5 times optical zoom and 20 times digital zoom. But you definitely want to play around with up to 5 times optical. But let me just get all those specs for the camera and just put them over here a little bit out of the way and tell you about my day-to-day use. Using this camera was a pleasure. It has a fast shutter, which is something that not every camera does. I mean, I know I've had a bit of a rant recently about the S22 and its lack of performance, but the shutter and the camera app on that phone were terrible. And the OPPO Find X5 is coming in at around the same price, but the camera experience is a lot better. Just simple things like using the shutter button and having a really fast, snappy experience is important, and it's there on this phone. Also, when you're switching from your front to your rear camera, you want that to be a smooth transition as well, and I'm experiencing that as well. And I'm definitely not frustrated with the camera and the software on the OPPO Find X5. Now, the images are not overly saturated. If anything, they're a little bit undersaturated at times, but it is definitely more true to life than some of the other cameras that I have used. But OPPO has always been big on portrait shots and giving you the ability to make yourself look way better than what you actually do. Now for me, you can't really polish a turd. But for a lot of you out there, you might like tweaking with your skin tones and the shape of your jaw and the shape of your eyes and that sort of thing. And I'm telling you, it's some pretty impressive technology in this camera app to enable you to do that. I think if that's your boat, then you're gonna float. Now, one thing that blew me away with the video was how stable it is and how good the image looks. And I think if you put these two videos together, it's hard to tell the difference between 1080p and 4K, except the image stabilization is much better in 1080p. And you just look at this is handheld walking, and there is just no shake. It is amazing how stable this footage is. And I know most smartphones have that ability these days, and the OPPO Find X5 is no different. It has amazing image stabilization built in. And this is with the stabilizer turned on the X5. Looks pretty good. This is front-facing camera, 32 megapixels, so not bad for detail. Again, bit of a highlight blowout. The shadows behind me on this side. I'm impressed. Good video camera for a front-facing camera. I like it. Happy days. I always don't know where to look with these phones because the camera's hidden down in the corner here, down here. Look there. No flash. Okay, this is 4K 60 frames per second on the Find X5, and you can see how it looks. No stabilization in this mode because it's 4K 60, but definitely stable enough, I think, for everyday use anyway. And then you have the 1080p, which is full-on stabilization, which will flick to in about 5 seconds. Okay, this is 1080p 60 frames per second with that full-on stabilization with the OPPO Find X5. And what do you think? Is it more stable than the 4K 60? I think it definitely is, but you got to ask yourself, which one do you need to use for your personal use? I think 1080p 60 is fine for most people's videos. If you're going to start editing off your phone and on the computer and sharing online that way, then you might want the 4K 60. But this is pretty good. 1080p 60, stabilized, pretty impressive OPPO, pretty impressive. So for me, videos, photos, OPPO Find X5 is amazing. No disappointment. None. Absolutely none. Now we're going to look into the performance and the software here. There's a couple of things I want to mention. One is it's running the Snapdragon 888. It's got 8 GB of RAM. It has ColorOS version 12.1 and Android version 12. I've often said that OPPO software has come of age and it's really awesome these days. It's no longer trying to be something it isn't. It is its own flavor. And I really do see that here with the Find X5. And one of my favorite features here is having multiple windows, floating windows they're called, and you can actually have apps open in different windows on your screen. And the hardware keeps up with the ability to multitask. It is true multitasking on a phone, and I think it's done really well here. These are extra features baked in where Android doesn't offer that. Like if you've got the Pixel 6 Pro like I do, you don't get these extra features. With the OPPO software and ColorOS, you get these extra features and they're integrated really well. So this is ColorOS. It is very mature these days and very usable and very customer focused. I love it. I would even say that they're showing Samsung how to do Android. I think it's better here on the OPPO software. And if anything, I just wish that the X5 would have 12 gigs of RAM instead of 8. I think they could have bumped it up there. It's definitely an area where I would like to see that. But it does get by just fine with 8 gigabytes, and the gaming is the same experience. I was playing Genshin Impact Asphalt 9, doing my usual testing on this phone, and I was getting some really good results. A really pleasant experience, a smooth experience. Now Genshin Impact is an intensive game. It takes a long time to download the software, let alone to play the game smoothly. And the Find X5 did this really well. If you're a gamer, the OPPO Find X5 is in your list. Like, you don't need to look at these massive expensive Asus phones and whatnot, Black Shark, all that. Your OPPO Find X5 is going to be able to game just as well. And another area where OPPO really shines for me is when it comes to battery life and charging. OPPO in general is just the best at charging phones. It just offers this super VOOC, which is incredible. And this phone can go from 0 to 100% in 34 minutes. That's 4,800 milliamp hour battery in 34 minutes. I'm not getting that on any Samsung phone, on any Pixel phone. I'm only getting it with OPPO. And that is amazing for me to be able to charge that quickly. And as I mentioned in one of my other recent videos, they've also now got 240 watt fast charging where it can charge your phone in 9 minutes. This is incredible. So they obviously include a charger in the box when it comes to the OPPO Find X5, and I'm grateful for that because none of the other scumbags offer a charger in the box. So thank you, OPPO, again. We got cases, we got chargers, we got phones, we got the lot, and it's all included in the price. So I really do appreciate that. And we also have 30 watt wireless charging. It's called Super VOOC Air Charging, and it's pretty impressive as well. 30 watts wireless charging. Now the OPPO Find X5 is coming in at $13.99 Aussie dollars. Obviously it's going to be cheaper in other parts of the world, but $13.99 is a good price for this sort of phone. It's not around the $2,000 mark, which is where your S22 Ultras and your iPhone Pro Maxes are sitting. Even your Black Shark and your Aces, they're all sitting around that $2,000 mark. OPPO Find X5, just a touch under $1,400. So it's definitely a win here. I think it'll be probably, they tend to reduce their prices of their phones pretty quickly as well to get some sales through the door. So keep an eye out for a bargain. I would definitely recommend this for that $1,300 price range. And if you could go into somewhere and talk them down to match it for the same price as the Galaxy S22, I would without a doubt snap up the Find X5 over the S22 any day of the week. It gets my tick of approval. Thanks for watching everyone. I really appreciate your time and I will catch you in the next video. Check out.